Say hello as you come in. I'm a sweaty mess. I'm a sweaty mess. And I'm a few minutes late today, too. Good excuse. I got all the way home, right? I went and decided to go take an evening walk, and then I went and got a cup of coffee, and then I sat on the bench, right? Enjoyed the breeze in the evening, had lots of time before my life. And then what do? I go leave my keys sitting on the bench, and I walked all the way home. I got to the building, no keys. So I was sitting across the street for a little bit before I decided to go for a walk. So I ran down the block to see if I left my keys there because it was the shorter distance, right? They weren't there. And then oh my gosh, okay, well, I hope they're still there. And I looked at the time and I knew I was going to be late for my live. And I had my phone going. I had it all set up to go live on my phone, but without the Wi-Fi, it would have sucked, right? It wouldn't have been good. Like I would have been able to, talk you guys through the static and stuff until I got back in the building. But, it would have been a mess, right? Now let's see if Cindy can do an hour and a half with the full bladder. That's the challenge. But you know what? Good exercise, tons of exercise. Man, I must have gone up and down those stairs like, more than a half a dozen times today, right? Yeah. But I'm happy. And I learned how to take the talk back off of my phone, but it tried to come back on this evening. So I got to figure out, I got to remove that app. That's what I need to do. I need to remove that app altogether, right? Yeah, it's not my phone. It's not the Google phone. It's the headset, right? It's the headset that wants to take control over my phone, but it doesn't work out well for me because it plays around with my volume and stuff when I'm online. Whew, what a sweaty mess. That was a good run, peoples. Oh, Andrew's here. Were you waiting for me, Andrew? I'm really, really sorry. Did you catch the beginning of my live where I said I went to get a cup of coffee and I left my keys sitting on the bench and I had to run I didn't exactly run, but my walking looked pretty darn like running. I moved so fast. Yeah, I thought I knew I wouldn't make it there and back in 10 minutes, but I thought, 5 minutes, but it was actually more like almost 10, right? But yeah, good exercise. I got to remember, I've been so forgetful lately. That's not like me to be forgetful like that. I have to pay more attention. I need more straps and carabiners so I can hook things on and everything. How have you been doing? Yes, I walked briskly. That's what I did. Oh, Melvin's here too. Evening, Melvin. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Very nice, hot, sunny week here. And yeah, I'm getting a little bit of sun. I'm trying to even it out. I don't like to do strap lines if I can. So I've been just kind of doing some straps and then I do strapless, just trying to keep it even, right? Because I can see the lines starting. So I don't like the lines, right? So I want to be all nice and even. Oh, some rain. So it must be pretty humid there right now if you got some rain. If it got hot again, right? Here, let's just scoot this over a little. Where do we want it? Right here? Yeah, we'll just put it right there. Yeah, so it must be pretty hot there, right? Who was I talking to? My friend Angela from Instagram, right? She was saying where she's from too. I'm not quite sure where she's from. I'm thinking California, but she said it really humid. When it gets hot, she really, really hates the humidity. And I'm the same way, right? Like I'm all sweaty and stuff and all hot. And thank goodness I got a little breeze coming from the air conditioner. It'll take a few minutes and then things will start settling down a little bit and be a little bit cooler, right? But yeah, welcome to the show, Melvin. We have no idea what the topic of conversation. There's a lot been going on this week, right? Well, let's start with the top news, and then that way I can add it later on too in the live, right? I may be going live at 5 o'clock every day on YouTube. I may have lost, well, I know I've lost my phone, right? I still have it right now, but its cutoff day is tomorrow for my phone unless I made the payment, and I couldn't come up with the money, right? So I'm going to assume that they are going to cut me off tomorrow. So I told everybody on my Instagram, if I'm not live tomorrow at 5 o'clock, that I'll be going live every day on my YouTube instead until I can get my phone back, right? It's adapt and conquer, people, right? Adapt and conquer. I just gotta, I'm starting to get it. As much as that things are going badly for me, right? There's lots of good going on too. There's tons and tons of good going on. And I just gotta have to concentrate on all the wonderful things that are going on. And, and even though it looks like I'm going backwards, in actuality, I really truly think that I'm moving forward. I'm just moving forward in different things that are more important right now. I don't think me not having a phone right now is going to really interfere. I think if I go to work, like, whoever I go to work for will understand that, I can take emails, right? And they can use Messenger with me, and I can pick that up on my main computer at home. So communication won't be a difficulty. It would be much better with the phone, and it would show me better if I had the phone, right? But it is what it is, right? And I can't beat myself out over something that I can't do anything about at this point. If something happens and the opportunity comes to rise that I can sort it out, then most definitely I'll sort it out. But right now, right, adapt and conquer and do what's most important, right? Yeah. This week too, also I applied for housing too, right? It's worth it to save $300 a month. It's worth moving into housing. And then also, if I can get into the same building as my sister, right, when I go camping and stuff, because my cat isn't quite used to being outside. Well, it's not used to being outside at all, right? I took it out once and it hid under the car, and I thought it was dying because its tongue was hanging out and it was doing its huffing. And it freaked me right out. It took us like a half an hour to get it out from underneath the car, and I actually had to yank on it pretty good, so it made me feel bad. So I don't know if I want to take that risk again. But if I'm in the same building as my sister, right, then maybe she would watch my cat for me when I go camping. She loves my picture window. She could just lay there for hours and hours and just look at the birds and the squirrels. Like, they get really close to her, right? Because the branches outside my window get pretty close to the window. And I keep expecting every year, because the branches grow, right? So I expect every year in those big storms that one of those branches are going to whack against my window. But it's really strange, because the branch that could whack around my window is the one branch that sort of kind of grew around another branch. So it really can't swing very far at all, right? Because that branch isn't long enough to let it swing anywhere. So it was kind of like, yeah, and that's the main one that would break my window. So I have a beautiful picture window, and I'm very grateful for it, right? And it's something that makes me happy, right? And all the things that you could do to make yourself happy when you're feeling like poop, right? When you're feeling like poop, every little thing, right? You got to think, what are the smells that you love, right? What are the sounds that you love, right? What do you like to feel? Do you like to take baths with Epsom salts, right? Do you like to play with the squishy things? Like with me, I have smalls on my desk, right? I have soft polished stones. I have a marble, right? I have like my dad's compass, right? I have my dad's compass that I don't know how to use because it's in imperial measurement, and I'm not very good when it comes to the degrees and stuff when it comes to imperial measurement, but I know it works well, right? What else do I got here? I got my fairy with my little green heart. You can't see it. She's got a stone heart there, but it's like a little emerald for her heart. And then I got Zippy here, and he's my turtle, right? And yeah, when I think and stuff, right, I always find like the questions come really fast. I just kind of sit here and I play and I zip it across my desk, and then my ring of gold, right? My gold ring, which is just a bracelet, and then all these little small smalls just kind of sit inside the bracelet so they don't go all over my little tray, right? Yeah, so that's what I keep. And I have this tray right here, and it just holds my cell phone holder for my lives, for my Instagram. And other than that, I keep the desk pretty clear. I have my lawyer's lamp. I have my scribblers beside me here, right? And my monitor and my microphone, which is usually pushed over here if I'm not using it, right? Yeah, I'm just trying to sort this area out to see how I like it the best, right? You know, I would like, I know for next week to move this camera up just a little bit more so my Google shows, because I'm just as loyal to, I want to do that now. If you don't mind, I'm just going to come around there right now. I'm just going to just pull that back just slightly because, you know, Google's important to me and I need them to get their screen time too, right? Yeah. Feel really good. This is one of the dresses, that real sweetheart lady at my class. She gave me a whole bunch of clothes, really, really nice clothes. Some nice dresses, some nice maxi dresses, right? I just love them, and so comfortable too. And easy to wash, right? Because it's so hot right now, I could just throw it on and sweat through it, and then I could just throw it in the sink and wash it out, and it'd be like dry in an hour, right? Let's take a look at these comments and see who popped in tonight. Oh, Owen's here. Hi, Owen. Hi, Owen. Oh, Ross Jason. Yay. And we're, from BC. Are you from BC, Ross? Yeah, I don't like the humidity, right? It's like a sauna. It's just steamy. It makes you feel sticky and uncomfortable, right? Here in Manitoba, well, like one of the reasons why my dad actually moved the family out here was because of my mother's rheumatoid arthritis. She had 12 different kinds of rheumatoid. She had 12 different kinds of rheumatoid arthritis, and her doctor said that she had to go somewhere dry, right? So even though we get a ton of snow and it gets 40 below zero and everything, it's very dry here, right? We get rain in June, and it doesn't rain very much after that, you know, the occasional showers. But, you know, thunderstorm season is usually in June, and we had a few. And last week we had a thunderstorm. It was kind of nice, and we had some good rain the other day. So it still does rain, but usually our season is in June, and that humidity, to get that rain in, say, like the end of July when you can't even breathe, when it gets to like plus 50 out here. Yeah, super, super hot, but dry, right? So that dry heat is very comfortable. It's, you know, and I like it. I think it's comfortable for breathing. That humidity, you're always kind of hacking up the phlegm and stuff because it loosens the phlegm, the humidity, right? But, you know, that dry air is kind of nice to breathe in too, right? You know, as long as you have a bottle of water, that dry air is nice to breathe in. But I found that to be very surprising, right? That they would tell Mom that Manitoba would be a good place for her to move because of that, right? It was Vancouver we were coming from, right? That rain, like it rains every day. Like it's sunny. It could be totally sunny and be pouring rain in Vancouver, right? You know, often it's like that. So that would, my mother's arthritis would really hurt her. Towards the end too, towards the end, her arthritis got really much better, but that's because she went on some trial drugs, right? For the arthritis. Her fingers had been locked for decades, right? She was holding her cup of coffee. My mother held her cup of coffee like this because her hands were locked in fists, right? Her hands were locked in fists, and they put her on this experimental drug. And the last couple of years, like she used to go, and she would slowly open up her fingers, right? She was able to open her fingers after her fingers had been locked for all those decades, right? So, you know, she was on some really good drugs, but the thing is, you know, she passed away shortly after that. And who's to say if those drugs were, you know, maybe a cause of that, right? My mother had got gut cancer, I think, right? Which is like one of the first times like our family has ever had that kind of stuff, right? So yeah, cancer isn't something that's, really rampant in our family. It's usually the heart disease that gets our family, right? And I think probably addictions, right? Probably addictions would have run very high in my family, right? My dad gambled. My grandfather was a drinker. My grandmother on my dad's side was an overeater. My grandmother was an overeater on my mother's side. My mother was yeah, codependent also, right? Yeah, she was definitely a codependent also, right? Like yeah, very dynamic family I got dropped into. That's for sure. That's for sure. Every single one of us, right? Every single one of us is so different. But, my two sisters that I hung around with, like I'm the most familiar, like most similar to them in personalities because we hung out so much together, right? And then my sister Alice hardly hung out with us at all, and she's a very extroverted person. Oh, to talk about this, extroverted, right? Introverted. Well, in this class that we're doing, right? I'm in a mentorship program, and I'm very familiar with the Brigman's test, right? I do them often. I do them often because I hear people change all the time, right? But I've never changed from an INFJT, right? That's the assertive and the traumatic, right? The trauma. So turbulent trauma, same thing, right? But one comes from a strict upbringing where you're very analytical. The other one's more turbulent, where you work more with your emotions, right? That's where the A and the T come from. So I've always been an INFJ. I don't know who out there has taken the Brigman test. I know I've encouraged you guys to take the Brigman test. If you've taken the Brigman test, let me know what you were, what was the outcome. So anyway, I was an INFJT always, every time I take my test, not even close, right? My emotions were usually around 60%. So I was kind of balanced in almost everything except for my thinking, and my emotions were really kind of strung off, the difference between them. So I went and I took the test again, right? He told us to take the test. He wanted to know what they were. And I says, oh, I'm an INFJ, right? He says, we'll take the test anyway. I said, oh, okay, right? So I took the test anyway, you guys. I am an ENFJT, right? And I says, I've never been an ENFJT, right? I don't even know what that is. And I went and looked at it, and I says, I've never been an ENFJT before, but I certainly want to be one now, right? They're the leaderships. They're the great thought leaders. They're the advocates. No, not advocates. Protagonists. They're the protagonists, right? So I said, I've always been an INFJ, right? So I'm going to take the test again. So I took the test again, and I kind of like swayed a couple of the questions there, right? And I did. I came right into an INFJ again, right? So then I took the test again, and I did it 100. I was perfectly honest, because they ask you different questions every time you take the test. So I did it as honestly as I could, and I came up with an ENFJ again. Okay, so then I looked at both tests. Right? And the difference being is in my introverted and my extroverted. It balanced out. I'm equally extroverted as I am introverted. I used to be like way high, like in my 70s, 80s. It's what made me an INFJ, right? Was my introvertedness. So that's where the balance was. So either or, the balance in my emotions were almost the exact same. I'm 96%. 96% emotions, right, in INFJ, and I'm 94%, and I did the test both times, and they came out two times ENFJs and 2 times INFJs, right? So I am borderline. I am like right in the border. And it's the equalness of extroverted and introverted. That's the difference between an ENFJ and an INFJ, extroverted and introverted. I'm so excited. I think that's an amazing thing, right? That shows all that work that I've done actually made, I would say, almost a genetic kind of change, right? Because the Brigmans are not supposed to change, right? You can collect extra traits and everything, right? So it can make you swing like that. I've never swung like that before, right? But it's known to quite often where you can pick up one of the other ones, right? But that's because you carry some of the traits of that other one. You haven't changed from being like, say, if you're an INFJ, you're always an INFJ, but you might have the traits, of an INFP or something else, right? So yeah, I found that to be really interesting. I'm just going to come down and take a look here to see if anybody else knows what their Brigman is. But can't find. Thank you. I'll take those off, right? I'll take those off. Yeah. That's funny. Wow. You think you would do well in a mortuary? Those jobs came up every once in a while, right? I would take jobs. I would look for jobs that nobody wanted, right? And every once in a while, those crematorium positions would come up, for doing the makeup or going to pick up the bodies and stuff. Those positions would come up, and I would think, could I do it? Could I do it? It takes a special kind of person, Andrew, to be able to do that, right? It takes a special kind of person to be able to do that. I don't know. I don't think I could do that because I don't like to see things hurt, right? And I would think that somebody passed away would be something hurt. So it wouldn't be a position for me. But yeah, kudos to you, Andrew. If you think you have the emotional fortitude to do something like that, do you think you would have that emotional fortitude to do something like that? Yeah, I think that would be somebody trained, right? It would actually have to be a mortician. Yeah, but let's not talking about that, right? How's it going in your guys' states, everybody, for the virus? How is everybody doing emotionally with what's going on? I heard you can't even go into a store anymore without a face mask on. I think that's a good idea. Oh, okay. Yeah, my husband served with the Patricias. He was with the 2nd Battalion there. So silent 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 C-71. Silent C-71. If you want to shoot us your name, yeah, no, because then we won't say Silent C-71. We'll just call you by your name, because especially Andrew and Owen, they'll get right in there, and yeah, they like to know people's names. So yeah, come in, give us your name, let us know where you're from. If you want to. If you don't want to, it's all good, right? Oh, okay. Yeah, my husband was with the first two. What years were you serving? Silent C-71. What years did you serve? My husband served 1989 to 2000, maybe. Oh, 2000. Oh, so you're still in the forces now. Yeah, my husband did a tour in Croatia. He did Operation Harmony in 93, right? But he also came back with some PT, right? SD. So, yeah, yeah, his job was to that there were people were burying people wherever when they passed away in that war, right? and it was polluting the water system. So my husband's job, one of his jobs, was to go in there and, you know, resurface and rebury them in good spots. And yeah, it hurt, right? It hurt. And yeah, he tried to keep it to himself. You know, they figured it out. Hopefully he got some more help than he did. But yeah, those tours, like, you know, we think they come back and everything's good, right? But yeah, you know, it was good though that he talked about it, right? He talked about it amongst his friends. He kept most of it, you know. Oh, right, right. Yeah, so that would be complex trauma, right? You know, because the PTSD are for the like the big shocks to the system. Those are the ones caused by, you know, the armed forces or ambulance drivers, police officers, right? Emergency, you know, support when they experience those really sudden shock to the systems traumas, right? So those are the post-traumatic stress disorders. The complex post-traumatic stress disorders is when you go through long periods of times with like repeated small trauma or all different kinds of little traumas that finally it just kind of builds up, and at that point it doesn't take a big trauma to take you down. Sometimes it will only take a little trauma to bring you down, right? And that's the one I got. And I didn't get it from the armed forces or anything, but, you know, I got it from, you know, my childhood experiences and the bullying that I got in school and being overweight, you know, being obese, right? And yeah, and just not dealing with my emotional issues. Like actually, if you guys want to talk about it, there's something I would love to talk about. I would love to talk about turn the other cheek, people, right? This week I came under realization what a terrible disservice it was to me to live by that, you know, turn the other cheek growing up. I turned a lot of cheeks, right? You know, I walked away and let people get away with doing mean, terrible things to me, not just to me, but to other people where I could have stepped in and helped. And I actually turned around and minded my own business because I was taught to turn the other cheek, right? You know, it has done such a great disservice to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of children in the world. You know, and I wrote a post on my Instagram about it this week. I never even gave it any thought. You know, it was just one of the rules my dad set us by to growing up, right? And then I was walking home one day and I started thinking about it, and I just realized how much damage it was for me to live by one of those rules, right? To turn the other cheek. It caused a lot of damage to me. And so I made this post, and then one of my readers, Kathy, if she actually comes on tonight, right? Kathy, Sassy Colors, you know Kathy. And she came in and she says, yeah, Cindy, the church did that, right? Because I didn't realize that was a part of the Sermon of the Mount, right? That Jesus said that. And human beings took it and changed the context of the meaning to suit the congregation, because it was a way for women to accept, she said, it was a way for women to accept them getting abused by their husbands in the homes, right? So the church would use that turn the other cheek, right, to get some understanding into the wives when they were in these abusive relationships with their husbands, because in those days, you know, it wasn't acceptable to get a divorce or anything. So, you know, of course the church had to find a way, you know, so that the women could bear up under their miseries. And I didn't even think of it that way, right? And I guess the mothers and the whole families just kind of brought it into the entire household, where it got to the point where, you know, children are being abused at home and they're turning the other cheek, right? Not doing anything about it, not talking to anybody about it, right? Oh, Dave's here too. Hi, Dave. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, go back to the beginning of my live tonight and hear about my Timmy story. It wasn't actually a Timmy's coffee. It's my Timmy's cup, but I actually went to McDonald's and used one of my sticker cards. My sister gave me a card with all the stickers full, so I was able to get a free coffee. Yeah, totally flat broke. I was going to say, like, maybe starting tomorrow that we might do a live here on YouTube every single day at 5 o'clock. It all depends on whether or not I have my phone. If I have my phone, I'm going to continue my lives on Instagram. If not, I'm going to take my lives onto YouTube every night at 5 o'clock. So be prepared to see me, you guys. If you're home from work or you're not working, right? Just pop in and say hi to me. And if I'm not here at 5 o'clock, you know I'm live on Instagram. Come in. We can go live on Instagram and chit chat. I would love to see what you guys look like, right? I'm imagining what your faces are just because of the stories you talk about. And then I imagine what you look like, right? Yeah. Oh, thank you, Dave. Yeah, I was saying this. One of the ladies in my school gave me one of these dresses along with a big bag of all kinds of maxi dresses and everything. So yeah, it was very thoughtful of her, and I'm going to get a great amount of use out of it. And on top of that, you guys, starting on Tuesday, I start my work intern where I have to work a couple of weeks for free. I think a couple of weeks for free. And if they like me, I might have a job. I might be getting back on my feet, right? But then it's going to be scrambling, and working. And if there's any overtime, I'm going to take every minute of overtime. So, I'm going to try really hard not to let my platform suffer. I'm not going to assume that they're going to crash on me because I believe in miracles. I have seen magic happen, right? Like I was very lucky, that my keys were still sitting there when I ran all the way out there back to McDonald's to go see if I had left my keys there. I was very grateful but I gotta remember, Cindy, come on, don't forget things lying around. Yeah, especially at any moment when I can come home and I can't even get into the building, right? What if they lock my door and I can't even get into the building? Because if they lock my door, I gotta go sleep in my locker. Yeah, I'll figure something out. It'll all be good, right? There are people out there watching out for me, right? It's my responsibility to crawl out of my hole, but it's nice to know that people have got me on the scuff of the collar, right? Making sure that I keep moving forward, right? I'm building momentum here. It's messy momentum, but it's momentum nonetheless, right? Momentum nonetheless. Yeah. Wow, the bladder's doing pretty good, right? We got 45 minutes to go before Cindy can empty her bladder. Yeah. Yeah. Well, when I did the research on that, because I was shocked that it came from the Sermon of the Mount. I was shocked that saying that it had done so much damage to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, right? Some little children that now have children of their own and probably pass that on to their own children, right? And then I'm thinking, well, now is Jesus doing karma now? Does Jesus have to do karma now because of all those lives that were ruined, right? I thought, what a terrible thing for us to be taught. And then on top of that, and it makes you wonder, right? When mankind ourselves, as humans ourselves, we change the teachings to mean something else, and then we wonder why people lose faith in God, right? They're saying it's close to like 80% of people don't believe in God anymore. That's crazy. That is huge, right? Like faith is important. Faith is set in place, right? It provides a marker for morals, right? To keep people on the straight path. And it's important that people, when they wake up, that there's something to believe in, right? They know what there is to believe in. But then again, it's an open playground, right? Because I truly believe that anybody who suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder or complex trauma, there's no other place for you to be in your awakenings except doing mindset. I could not have done this any other way, right? All that, send love and kindness and all that mushy, soft-spoken stuff, that would not have worked for me. The only thing that would have worked for me was discipline, right? Discipline would have been the only thing that would have worked to pull me out of that hole. So yeah, I'm forever grateful that I was introduced to mindset, like forever grateful. It was so easy, right? I could have woken up to something light and fluffy, to right? Now I'm right where I want to be. I woke up to right where I want to be, right where I needed to be, right where I needed to be. I needed that toughness, right? Not just toughness for myself, right? But toughness on myself so I could actually pull myself out of my bucket, that big full bucket of crabs that I've been trying to crawl myself out of for how long now has it been? 6 years? 6 years? Going on 6 years. 5.5 years anyway. Yeah. It's time to move. It's time for me to move into what I really want, right? I've worked hard. I've worked hard. And I know that I could do good things, right? I could do good things. And anybody out there who suffers from depression, anxiety, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder, ADHD, borderline personality disorder, bundled disorders, where multiple bundled, I think it's called disorders, right? Mindset will work, right? Mindset will work. I feel 100 times better. My life is totally crashing all around me, people. Do I look frazzled? Do I look phased in any form at all? No. Maybe I should. But what good would it do? I wouldn't be able to do anything about it anyway. And right now, having a calm mind, I think I'm open to more solutions coming to me in this state of mind than that other state of mind, right? So yes, mindset, you people, right? And start with Evan Carmichael, right? Because he's got everybody who works in mindset, Evan's featuring them on his channel. So you could go and watch a few great thought leaders, right? Some amazing thought leaders, all types of thought leaders too, right? From politicians to actors to activists, right? To presidents and like so many people, coaches, mentors. So many people out there doing mindset that you can't help but find somebody that you'll resonate with, right? Aw, Dave, thank you so much. Well, there you go, Andrew. Now you have something to suggest to your friend, right? That maybe he could start with. Evan Carmichael, I know you'll remember that name. Introduce him to him. Tell him to pick out a few, because some of those greatest thought leaders that he features on his channel have anxiety also, right? Are tormented by fear and anxiety too. Even my favorite, right? Even Evan Carmichael, he suffers like stage fright. Absolutely terrible. He has that anxiety for stage fright. So So, you know, there's no reason that you can't overcome your fears too, right? Yeah. And we all have fears to work out, and it's ongoing forever and ever. Like some of my biggest fears, I still haven't figured out, right? I still haven't overcome yet. Yeah. Yeah, well, Andrew, you know what? Yeah, you know, Evan Carmichael, right? In his channel, you'll find a thought leader and they'll show you and explain to you exactly how to stay present, right? And to you know, stay present and solve things and stay active in the moment, and which will solve some of those problems that you don't even have to think about it. It's our focusing on our problems, right? And it's our emotions, those negative emotions and those limiting beliefs of ours that keep us where we are, right? That keep us in where we are. Yeah. Yes, thank you so much, Silent C71, for popping in and hanging out with us. That was wonderful. Take care and welcome back anytime. Yeah, we have lots of military pop in here, lots of retired military actually too, right? Yeah, Air Force, grunts, yeah, Navy. Let me just look back on some of these comments and see what I've missed. Oh, that was nice of him to say, right? I hope your husband tells you that you're beautiful. Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet. My husband always told me I was beautiful, even when I wasn't beautiful. Actually, he called me his rat woman, right? Because when he turned over in the morning, I was a scary sight if I was looking you in the face in the morning, right? Looking you with my loving eyes, yeah, with my hair sticking up and the sleep goobers in my eyes, right? Stinky breath, right? Yeah, he loved me anyway. Okay. And are you happy with the morals that your parents passed on to you, Melvin? Were they good ones? Yeah, what does the past matter, Andrew? The past doesn't matter anymore at all anyway. It's over, it's done with. I've done so many stupid, embarrassing things that I never thought I would overcome, right? Even the heartbreaks, right? And the little traumas and stuff, like they don't even bother me. They don't even bother me anymore. And I was actually saying that I look back at them often now and I'm not even fazed by them anymore, right? Yeah, it's kind of neat, right? And, you know, I like to say I live in the present, and I think I live in the present, but I also look back, right, at the past, only for information, though. I don't look back to beat myself up or anything. Like, really, how could I? I'm 58 years old. If I did that, I would have to beat myself up for taking so long to get to where I am right now, right? So I don't worry about the past. I don't worry about the past. I don't even worry about the future, right? I never really did. You know, unless it was like immediate future, right? Immediate, like paying the bills and keeping the roof over the head. Other than that, I never worried. It just kind of took care of itself. And because it was so up and down, I didn't know where I was going to be from one moment to another, right? So I just kind of, you know, life is whatever that moment is dishing out to me, and that was my life, right? I like emotions. I like to see emotions. You know, not the bad ones, not the anger, not the depression, right? But I like the emotion. I like emotions. I like, you know, I like studying emotions. I like understanding the emotions. You know, so you gotta you gotta experience them, I guess, right? And even though you don't want those sad ones or the bad ones, they're gonna come anyway. So you might as well just take them as a lesson and just kind of study them and observe them, right? When they do happen, so that next time it happens, that maybe you might have a solution so it's not so hard next time, right? But yeah, you guys, right? If you suffer from anxiety or depression, right? If you have post-traumatic stress disorder, if you have CPST, right? Then definitely look at mindset. Mindset, pretty good chance it might be a solution for you. It helped me out. Like I said, I needed something because I'm not a religious person too, right? I'm not a religious person. So I wouldn't have been able to get those morals and those lessons in limiting beliefs. I wouldn't have been able to get it from religion, right? It had to become somewheres from where I would be, somewheres where I respected and where I would listen, right? Where I trusted I could listen and that I believed, right? Yeah. And that came from mindset, right? It just kind of answered all the questions that I had. It was just like a little solution for every problem I had. I had a little solution for most of them anyway. And probably solutions for those all, but probably not the solutions I wanted, right? That I avoided, like solutions that I avoided, solutions that I didn't want to use, right? Yeah. I know I have a problem with asking. I know I have a problem asking, but I'm adapting and conquering the best I can. And I try and chirp up and ask, I do try and I do successfully do it on occasion, but it causes me anxiety, right? It causes me anxiety and it doesn't cause me fear. Is that anxiety, fear? Is anxiety a fear, Andrew? Is anxiety a fear? Because maybe I have anxiety then if anxiety is a fear. But anxiety for me, yeah, maybe it is, right? Because I'm just afraid of the reaction, right? Or the rejection. Maybe I'm afraid of the rejection, right? I'll tell you, the past is a bucket of ashes. Oh, I like that, Andrew. I like that. Oh, Andrew, that was like my post. That was my post yesterday. Here, let me read you my Instagram post from yesterday. It was something to along that lines of what you said there. Here it is. Be who you are and say what you feel, because those that mind don't matter and those that matter don't mind. That's the channel I want, right? That's the kind of channel I want. Look at the sunset coming onto my face, making me all pinky, right? I was going to turn the light on now, but it kind of like, isn't that nice, that sunset light? That sunset light is kind of nice. Oh, right, Andrew, that's another one. Good one. Oh, anxiety could be a form of fear, right? Because I'm supposed to go through my fears. So that kind of wasn't the answer I was looking for, Andrew, but I appreciate it. You just made more work for me. But yeah, isn't that something? That one was by Bernard Baruch. This is quite a well-known quote, commonly attributed to Dr. Seuss, right? Dr. Seuss supposedly said that one. But in actuality, it was a quote by a man named Bernard Baruch, 1870 to 1965. He was an American financier, stock market speculator, and a presidential advisor for both Woodrow Wilson and Franklin D. Roosevelt. And then I wrote, open to perspective, I believe trusting that you're good enough to attract what you really want is only possible by being genuine to who you really are at any given moment. I strive, as difficult as it might be, to be that person, knowing that truly being vulnerable is where I'm sometimes meant to be. How else can I expect to find those who feel like me? When you do that, life can't help but want to bring together those who truly matter and send on their way those who truly don't. That's my post. I do those kind of posts every night, people, on my Instagram. I write those, right? They usually, depending how in flow I am. Sometimes I'm really in flow and I can do a quick post in a half an hour. But on the norm, it takes me about an hour to an hour and a half. Once I go over it, make sure nothing drives me crazier than misspellings in a tag. I hate misspellings in a tag. I hate it. I hate seeing it in other people's posts, and I exceptionally hate to see it in my post. So I usually will go over my posts and I'll check all my spelling and I'll check all my tag spelling and everything before I post it. And sometimes one will sneak through it before I even notice it. And then I have to go back in and edit it and clean it all up, right? Oh, right. Job applications. You're right. You're right, Malvin, right? Stretching the truth in job applications. In my class here, they're having us write cover letters and appreciation letters, and getting us ready for interviews and stuff. And and I'm pretty good at that stuff to start with. I usually don't have a problem getting across. And if I can actually get into an interview, I can usually rock. I can usually rock an interview pretty good. I could usually get the job. But it's me getting the interviews. I have such a hard times, getting an interview. And I know it's because my age, right? People say, oh, she must be if she's got like over 30 years experience, she must be in her 50s for sure, right? So yes, they know that, here, I got to turn the light on now because it truly is starting to get dark in here. So we'll turn on the light. Ooh, there we go. We'll turn on the light now. But here was one of, I won't read this. But yeah, so yeah, look at this is only 2 weeks worth of work. This is only 2 weeks worth of work. It's just like, one lesson after another, right? Lots of TEDx videos we do, and I love the TEDx videos. I'd like to do a TEDx talk myself, and always thought I would do it on epigenetics. But now, no question, 100%, my TEDx talk has to be on Turn the Other Cheek. And I'm going to start working on that, right? This week, maybe like on my coffee break or something. If I could put 15 minutes towards it every day, right? And then when I get home, I've also got to practice my talking, because this word, right, this is a new one for me. This is only a few months old that I started doing this. Now, I don't know if it's one of the personalities I popped up and this is something they like to do, but it's not something I like to do. So it needs to go. So I thought practicing my TEDx talk might be a good way for me to try and learn to get this word right out of my speech, right? I have, see me do that. I do it all the time. I'm not one for rehearsed speeches. I like to be natural. I like to talk through points if I can. I'm very good. If I can make a list, I can remember my points, and I know the perfect spots to interject with those points, right? So that's what I thought I would work on, right? Turn the other cheek. What a terrible thing for kids to grow up on, right? I got bullied so much, and I just walked away from fights, and like turn the other cheek is not so bad, like to say no, turn around, and if somebody beats you up, you go ahead and beat them up too. No, if somebody beats you up, two wrongs don't make a right. Let them know two wrongs don't make a right. Let them know you're going to do something about it. And then go talk to somebody, right? Go talk to your pastor if you're a beaten wife, or go talk to a counselor if you're getting beaten up at school or something's going on at home, right? And if nobody will listen to you, don't give up. Somebody eventually will believe you, right? Somebody will. That was my fault, right? I never looked for help after I got turned down from somebody, right? And every time I asked for help, right? And I got brave enough to ask for help, and I got shot down, or I got into even worse because I said something, right? That it caused damage, and it stopped me from asking for help. And I think that's why I don't ask, is because I was rejected and dejected so many times from asking that I just gave up on asking. And now I have this fear of asking for things, right? So what I do is I hint around, I dance around the truth, I influence, I used to manipulate, right? And maybe it's still manipulating, but I'm giving the name influence instead. But I try really hard because I know when I'm doing that, right? And I'm trying so hard not to lie. And I caught myself saying a lie the other day. I caught myself saying a lie. There's a shop, an antique shop close by to where I live. And when I go on my evening walks, I walk down the street all the time. The shop's closed because I go for evening walks and stuff. The shop's always closed, right? But I walk through the shop, walk by the window, and I stand and I look at the beautiful antiques. And there's this like 3-foot high, carved out of cherry wood, like a cherry tree log, right? With all the misshapen knots and everything in it, but it was hand carved, and it's a Japanese man walking with his dog and birds and everything, and his little stick with his bag with probably his lunch or whatever, like when they walk through the rice paddies and stuff, with his big hat. But it's hand carved and antiqued, and it's just gorgeous, absolute gorgeous. I looked at it and I said, ugh, right? They probably want around $1,600 for this, right? So I went for a walk early yesterday or the day before, and I walked by the shop, and the shop was open. I said, hell, I'm going to go in and I'm going to ask the price, right? And I went in there, and I went to the gentleman, and I said, because I wanted him to spend the time. I didn't want him to think I was wasting his time. I said, my husband wants to buy me a present. Could you tell me how much that carving is in the window? That was the first lie I've told in a year and a half. In a year and a half. And as I was saying it, I knew I was lying, and I felt absolutely terrible. Even though it was just a little white lie, it was an outright lie, right? It was an outright lie, and I was mad I did that, right? I don't know what came over me to say it, because I knew I was lying. I knew, and there was no way to stop it, right? As it was coming out of my mouth, I was already saying it. It was too late, so I just kind of like shut my mouth, and But it turned out this carving was $2,000. He showed me a catalog from an auction of one that was similar, obviously not the same, right? It was a different picture or a different kind of carving, because it was obviously a hand carved out of a different piece of wood, right? So it was a different scene. But the price that it went for was $2,000, and it was dated to the 17th century. No, I could clearly see that it was probably for around the 1910s, 1890s to 1910s that this one. I would think that it was carved in. I could be wrong. Maybe it was the 1700s. But if I were to take a guess, I would say between 1890 and 1910s. But it didn't make it any less beautiful. It was one of the most spectacular pieces I ever saw in my entire life. And if I had my own place, and if I had, and he said I could have it for $1,000. They wanted $1,900 for it. He said, I'll give it to you for half price. $1,000, right? $1,000, but it was beautiful. Absolutely a conversation piece to last a lifetime, and a one of a kind piece, right? So if I ever get $1,000, I'm going to that antique shop, and I'm gonna pick up that little Japanese man, right? Yeah, carved Japanese man. It was gorgeous. It was absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. Irregardless. Oh, right, Andrew. Right. At the end, right? At the end, I usually say something, I would love to give you my references along with my appreciation for your consideration. I usually say things like that, right? And being female, it's a little bit lighter, right? It's a little, right. It's welcoming, it's approachable. I like saying something like that, right? But yeah, I like yours too, Andrew. I like yours too, right? Because they always say, well, do you have a question for me? And I always say no. Right? And you're not supposed to say no. You're supposed to have a question prepared. But that's what I could do. I could say something, oh, I would love to give you my references if you would care to see them, along with my appreciation for your consideration. Right? I could do something like that. Aw, isn't that Maggie? Is that ever sweet? Aw, that's very sweet. Yeah. I couldn't afford the shipping, but antique light fixtures, how beautiful. I love antique light fixtures. When I was 18, my mom and dad bought me, was probably one of the most expensive lights, lamps. It was a lamp, right? It was a carved glass lamp, and I still have it to this day. Every once in a while, I buy a new lampshade for it, right? Every 10 years or so, I'll buy a new lampshade for it. But I've had this lamp since I was 18 years old, right, for my first apartment. And at the time, that lamp was like $120. And like in 1980, $120 was an awful lot of money to spend for a lamp that you could probably, nowadays go to Walmart and pick up for $10, right? But it's cut glass, right? It's cut glass. But yeah, I love light fixtures, Maggie. I really love light fixtures. I used to sell them on like the sconces, the wall sconces, the ones with the little candles and stuff. I used to sell those on eBay, all the time when I would come across them at the auctions and stuff. I would pick them up if I could get them inexpensively, and then I would sell them at the auctions. I did fairly decent at the auctions, right? I did fairly decent. But it's the returns, and sometimes you would have to give discounts, and you get very stressed out about feedback from people when they purchase things, use things on eBay, right? Yeah, Andrew, I feel the same way, right? Because they can tell by your references on your resumes that how old you are, right? If you say something like I got 30 years experience in this, right? They know you got to be like 50 years old at least. Oh, Andrew, I think you would be absolutely amazing as a front desk clerk, right? That would be just the kind of job that you would be really, really good at too, Andrew, because then you could do your own thing during the course of the evening. If you were like the midnight shift, you work the midnight shift, nobody would bother you, right? But then again, the job you have now would probably be less stressed than a hotel, because I'm sure at times it would get pretty busy at a front desk, right? I always thought I'd do really, really well at a front desk. I'm very good with people. I'm very good at making people feel comfortable and stuff. So I think I would be very good at as a night desk clerk. I might enjoy it, right? Even if they like let me do my own thing, like if I could edit videos and stuff during the course of my shift, that would make it even better, right? Instead of doing a job that you spend 8 hours at, and then you come home and then you do another 4 hours on my brand. And I would do that anyway. A lot of my brand working right now is study work. 50% of what I do my postings and everything too, but 50% of the work that I put into my brand is study right now, right? If I'm not going to go into psychology, right? If I'm not going to go into psychology, I've got to be pretty darn good, but I'm only going to be working not so much in the workings of the brain. I don't want to know what the workings of the ADHD, even though I'm going to become familiar with it because I'm going to know the symptoms and stuff, right? But I'm not going to be tearing it apart and everything, these different illnesses, right? And these different conditions. I'm more interested in the emotions part of it, right? Overcoming the limiting beliefs that got you there to the point or got you there to that point to start with, right? Yeah. So I want to help in easing those anxieties, right? Easing the trauma, start bringing people out of their traumas, start bringing people out of their heartbreaks, right? Like, yeah, heartbreak did it for me. Holy cow. But of course, by that time I had taken little trauma hits along the way. So it wouldn't have taken much to break me when my marriage fell apart. But yeah, when my marriage fell apart and I clung to my sister, right? And became I did trauma bonding with my sister, right? And I almost brought her down too, right? Right? Yeah. Right. Supposedly she's not doing good right now financially and stuff, She tells me like all the time that she's not doing well. So I hope things go a little bit better for her. I don't discuss her finances with her or anything like that, but she says she's having a hard time. Right? Yeah. Yeah, but it's interesting how we get a lot of military and ex-military, right? And Air Force people on this channel. It's really interesting. I like it. Lots of retired gentlemen, right? And I loved the military, right? I loved living that life. I loved being, a part of that military family. They took such good care of me, right? I felt I felt like I belonged, right? And if kindness wasn't my word, right, I would take belong. I think belong is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful word, right? And everybody should feel like they belong somewheres, right? So let me just take a look at here. Yeah, so my post tonight was on Jordan Peterson, right? And his quote was, "Be a light on the world instead of a blight," right? And that's what I was, right? I was just kind of like a leech on the world. I was just thinking of myself, enjoying my life, right? Did what I wanted, right? Right? Influence, I'm going to say, right? For what I wanted. Yeah, I did a lot of that. But yeah, here where we were talking about earlier about people who dwell on the past, right? Oh, I think it was Andrew who brought it up, the dwelling on the past, right? Thinking about the past and beating yourself up with the past and being embarrassed about the past. Why? It's the past, right? It's the past. It's over. It's done with. Like, you can decide right this moment, even at 50, 60, right? 70 even. If you want to start over, right? Yeah. If I had a car, if I had a vehicle, I would just pack my cat up and whatever I had, and I would just hit the road. I would just hit the road. I would travel and I would make my videos, right? And I would do my mindset. I would mix my mindset up there and I would be happy and I would try and spread that happy wherever I went, right? Wherever I went, I would. And then maybe get a sponsor along the way, right? To help me with the gear or to help me out with some of the cost of the road trips, right? And then maybe that would be the way for me to build an income at the same time, right? Get hooked up with a good company that I can provide value for, somebody, a company that I believe in, right? Right? And believes in what I do too, right? Yeah, it's important because it's important. I found a good formula for myself that makes me happy, right? And at the same time provides value to other people. And I would like to continue on doing that, right? Because, if I can pull myself out of this, can you imagine what I could do for other people? Especially I've been documenting this whole journey along the way. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you pop. I keep forgetting, right? But if you come in and watch, it helps, right? YouTube will send my video on to other people and stuff if they get the thumbs up, right? Or give them a share, right? If you give me a share even. But I'm happy for a thumbs up, right? I'm happy for a thumbs up. Yeah, so here what I was doing was I had to make a list of things that I was afraid of. And I've only got 2 things, right? The ask. I hate the ask. I don't want to do the ask. Like, I don't want to ask, right? Something in me says yeah, don't ask. But yeah, I'm thinking maybe, right? I don't know. It's such a block. I don't know if it's a curse, if it's a solid block, if I've been forbidden to ask, right? Or I've been doing it for so long that it's compounded that it's impossible for me to do it, or that I just have to chip away at it, right? Yeah, I don't know, but it's a serious problem and it's something that I've been kind of working around. But what a big one to have to work around, where I'm not in a position that I'm able to ask for things that I need, right? Like, I really have to be pushed to ask for what I need. But look what's happened, right? That I actually get brave enough to ask for a little bit of help, and I'm actually getting a little bit of help now, right? Yeah. But it's being honest. Boy, was I angry with myself in that antique shop last week. I was really up there, right? And then I lost my headphones the next day. Did I lose the headphones? I might have lost the headphones. No, it was earlier in the day that I said, oh, maybe it rewarded me and gave me that $20. But no, it was earlier in the day that I found that $20. So in between finding that $20 and going into that antique shop, yeah. I got to be careful with that. But anyway, things that I'm afraid of, I could only think of 2 things, right? The ask, right? The ask, the initial introduction is I don't like it. The initial introduction is hard, but I can do it. And I do it often by introducing myself right away. But it also made it hard for interviews for me. Can you imagine the panic attacks on me going for an interview? Like the night before, I wouldn't get any sleep at all, right? Just stressing about it. Nothing I could do about it, but I would stress about it, thinking, oh, I'm going to miss my alarm and everything. And then I'd wake up in the morning just to do the interview and go, well, what was I even worried about? That was so easy. They were so nice. And what an enjoyable conversations. Quite often, I really enjoy my interviews. once I get in there and have that initial contact, right? Yeah, silly me, the ask. It's a big problem, the ask, right? But the other one I have, the other fear I have is swinging heights. I'm not afraid of heights, but I'm afraid of dangling heights. Dangling heights. You know, like a trapeze artist when, where the trapeze went up so high that there's no tension holding it anymore, that it just flops. That would be terrifying, right? To be on swinging heights with nothing to hold on to you, right? Not to be tight to whatever's swinging. So, I don't sit on tree branches unless they're really low to the ground. I don't do rings, from one ring to another, right? Or one bar to another. I don't do pull-ups, right? I there was this it's a true story too in BC. I think it was in BC, and there was those kites that fly off the mountains without the motors, and they just fly until they hit the ground, right? Gliders, and then when you do a training glider, you get strapped up to somebody who's actually the trainer. So it's two of them on a glider, and this one gentleman forgot to buckle up the person that he was training, and he jumped off the cliff, and all he was doing was holding on to this woman, and he held on to this woman for as long as he could. He held on to this woman. But he was jumping off a mountain, right? He was jumping off a mountain, and finally the weight of her, yeah, and she's like, can you imagine holding on for as long as you can and just seeing in his eyes that he's not going to be able to hold on to you, and you're not going to be able to hold on to him, and knowing that there's no way you're going to survive this fall, and then just to accept it and just let go like that, right? The most terrifying thing, I like when I heard, and the gentleman that happened to actually had a camera on his head and taped the whole thing. The whole thing was taped, right? It was filmed. They put part of it on the internet before it got shut down, but the story got around, right? And I thought to myself, that would be just the most horrifying thing that I could ever imagine happening to me, right? The most horrifying thing that could imagine to happen to me. Yeah, so swinging heights, right? Dangling off a rope would be terrifying. I don't even like swings. I don't like swings, right? And I went on a swing I think last year I went on a swing, and I did it, and it was okay, but I don't like to be off the ground on swinging heights. I don't mind heights. I don't mind being on a plane. I don't mind being on the top of a building. But yeah, just don't have me dangling off anything. I don't like it. I don't like it. But those were the only two things that I could think of: the ask and the swinging heights, right? I have been on stage, right? I have been on stage. I've never sung to myself or sung or given a speech or, anything like that on stage. But, I was in drama, and I did have singing parts and stuff on drama, and I never had any problems with that. So I don't think stage fright would be a problem for me, right? But I don't know until I do it, right? The first time. But I'm not that type of person. I don't think I would have a problem with that. Yeah. Oh, I do have another fear. I have a fear of people yelling at me. Like aggression, like I'm going to kill you. You're like that. The fear, the ones, the really, really mean ones, the ones that go for the jugular, those ones, right? Those ones, the ones that really dig and really go in for the kill. I do not care for those, right? I grew up on those ones, and I had them in the workplaces and stuff, and being on turn the other cheek. Well, maybe I might not turn the other cheek. Maybe I would give you a little conversation about what you're doing next time. I would hope that I'm strong enough to do something like that, not to take it anymore, because I have a strong opinion on this turn the other cheek now, right? It's going to be a little bit of a cause for me. It's going to be a little bit of a cause for me. Okay, you guys, it is 9:00. Holy moly. Let's take a look at a few of these comments that I missed and see where the conversation is. No, Dave, you never met Jordan Peterson, did you? Did you actually get to have a conversation with him, like a personal conversation? Oh, that would have been so amazing, Dave. I would have loved it. Yeah, Dave's still here. Let me know, Dave, if you actually got to have a personal, or if it was just in one of his lectures. Is your life a message or a mess? That's funny. Oh, my friend Nick just started a live too. I might pop in and say hi to him. Unless he's just doing a short live. Sometimes he doesn't get his post in. He'll put a short live in to get it in before he goes to bed. Yeah, me neither, Owen. That would not be my thing. I prefer to have my feet on the ground. Yeah, those ones, Andrew. Yeah, you know exactly those people, right? You know exactly those people. Oh, Robert's here too. Holy moly, Robert. Oh, how are you doing, dear? Yeah, but that heavy duty, go for the jugular aggression, I'm going to put you in your place, right? You better accept it, you small twerp. Yeah, those people. Yeah, they're the ones that need to be put in their place. Holy moly. They're like the schoolyard bullies. But I have a problem with them, right? But maybe not anymore because, in the old days, I would turn the other cheek, right? I won't be turning the other cheek. You do that to me, I won't be doing the turn the other cheek. You'll definitely get it. Very least, you'll get a look to say, hey, buddy, buddy, I'll still forgive you real fast if you recognize it. But yeah, you got to recognize it. Oh, who would yell at Cindy? You'd be surprised, Maggie. You'd be surprised. What a beautiful name. I love that name. Wonderful. Well, you came a little late tonight, Robert, because that's the end of our live. Yeah. Do I have any coffee? Yeah, I got a little bit of coffee left. I'm going to enjoy my coffee. My post is done. I have to write an email to this lady at my rentalsman, right? To where who are they? What do you call it? Landlord. I have to write a letter to my landlord, to the accounts department, just to make sure that they know that I am good. If they give me one more month, right? Give me one more month and I will be all sorted out. I'm working at getting a job. I'm pretty excited, people. I'm going to be working with MCC. If anybody's familiar with MCC, they're the Mennonites that have their foundation, right? And they do service all over the world. They're like a Red Cross, right? So this is the company that I'll be doing volunteer work for the next couple of weeks with, I think, at least for the next couple of weeks. And then hopefully, let's see if Cindy can get a job and get back on her feet. And keep an eye out. I might be live tomorrow at 5 p.m., right? Only because if I lose my phone tomorrow, I won't be able to go live on my Instagram, in which case I will do YouTube lives until then. Okay, everybody. That's not my good cheer because that's not the program. This is Chatters Live, right? That's the name of my show on Instagram, is What's My Good Cheer. That's the name of my show on Instagram. But yeah, this one here is my Chatters Live, and you can perfectly tell why I call it Chatters Live, because look at the chat. Look at my chat goes. My chat goes just as well as any of those big channels do, right? Right? I got a great crew. Thank you so much, Owen, Andrew, Robert, for popping in. Dave, it was lovely to see you, Dave. And Silent TC came in tonight, too. Right? Absolutely. Absolutely amazing. Thank you, Ross. Thank you, Ross, for popping in. And thank you, everybody else who just kind of stayed in the background and listened to Cindy yabber off. It's much appreciated, right? And before you go, if you want to give me a thumbs up, maybe Google share it around. Okay, everybody. Have a great night. And maybe we'll see you tomorrow. Maybe we not. But if not, we'll see you Sunday. Have a great night. Bye-bye.